Right now, while you're watching this, part of your brain is already itching. It wants to check something. It wants to scroll. It wants to escape. You feel it. That low hum of restlessness that follows you everywhere. You sit down to do one thing, and 12 minutes later, you're somewhere else entirely, holding your phone, not even sure how it got into your hand. You think you're broken. You're not. You're hijacked. Because here's the thing nobody tells you. A human being walking the earth 30,000 years ago had a level of focus that would terrify you. Not better than yours, on a completely different scale. They could sit at the edge of a river, motionless, for hours, watching the water for one specific movement. They could track a wounded animal across miles of broken ground, holding a single thread of attention through cold, hunger, and exhaustion, without ever once losing the line. They didn't have willpower. They had architecture. And here's the part that should genuinely disturb you. You still have that exact same architecture, the same hardware, the same wiring. The brain you carry around in your skull right now is biologically almost identical to theirs. It's not that you lost the ability to focus. It's that something out there learned how to break in and use it against you. Something is reaching into the oldest part of your mind and pulling the levers, deliberately, by design. And the strangest part? The exact same survival instinct that kept your ancestors alive for 2 million years is the thing that's destroying your attention span today. The feature became the bug. We'll get to how that happened, but first you need to understand what you actually lost. Because once you see it, you can't unsee it. Let's start with what focus actually is, because you've been thinking about it wrong your whole life. You think focus is about forcing yourself to concentrate, gritting your teeth, pushing through. That's the modern myth. But the ancient human brain never worked that way. For our ancestors, attention wasn't a chore. It was the most natural thing in the world. It was survival itself. Picture it. You're a hunter on the open grassland 100,000 years ago. Your deep focus isn't optional. It's the difference between eating and starving, the difference between living and being eaten. When you lock onto prey, your entire nervous system narrows into a single point. Your breathing slows, your peripheral vision dims, the world goes quiet. There is only the target. This is what scientists call the flow state, and we treat it now like some rare, magical gift that only athletes and artists ever touch. But to your ancestors, this was Tuesday. This was just how the mind worked when it had a real reason to engage. They didn't read books about how to focus. They didn't need a dopamine detox. The state we spend hundreds of dollars and thousands of hours chasing was their factory default. And there's a reason it felt good. Your brain rewards deep attention. When an ancient hunter locked onto a track and followed it to a kill, the payoff wasn't just meat. It was a flood of chemistry, satisfaction, completion, the feeling of a long effort finally resolving. But that reward system, the one built to celebrate patience, the one designed to pay you for staying locked in, that's exactly the system that got hijacked. And the people who hijacked it knew precisely what they were doing. Here's the shocking part. The average human attention span for a single task has been measured and remeasured over the last 20 years, and the numbers are collapsing. Studies on screen time and cognition keep finding the same thing. People now struggle to hold attention on one screen for more than a couple of minutes before switching. We're not talking about a slow decline. We're talking about a generation losing a core human ability in real time. And the people who lose the most are the youngest. The ones who grew up with a glowing rectangle in their hands before they could even read. Now think about what that actually means. For 2 million years, human attention was the most reliable tool our species owned. It survived ice ages, it survived famine, it survived predators that could hear your heartbeat from across a clearing. Nothing in the natural world could break it. Not cold, not fear, not exhaustion. And then, in about 15 years, we shattered it. Not with a war, not with a disease, with a product. Because somewhere along the way, a small group of very smart people figured out something dark. They realized that human focus is the most valuable resource on the planet. And if you could capture it, package it, and sell it, you'd be richer than any king in history. So picture a room, a real place, real people, a wall of screens, and on one of them, a single line. That line is you. It tracks how long you stay, measured second by second, drawn as a graph that climbs and dips in real time. A man points at a dip. Someone shortens a delay, moves a button, changes a color. They watch the line. It climbs. Quiet nods around the room. Then they do it again. That's the whole job. Calm, well-paid people in a bright room, watching a graph of your weakness and tuning the thing in your pocket until you cannot look away. They were never trying to help you. They were sharpening a hook. And they found what they needed buried in the oldest part of your brain. The part that hasn't changed since the prehistoric world. The part that still thinks it's living on the savannah. What they found there is the reason you can't put your phone down. And it's worse than you think. Here it is. The most important thing you'll learn today. Your ancestors' focus was protected by something invisible. Scarcity. In the prehistoric world, information was rare and it was precious. A snapped twig in the dark meant something. A change in the wind meant something. A new face at the edge of camp meant something. Every signal your brain received had weight because signals were rare. So your brain evolved to lunge at novelty, to orient toward anything new, to drop everything and look, because the new thing might be food, might be danger, might be the difference between life and death. That instinct, the irresistible pull toward whatever's new, that was a superpower. For 2 million years, it kept you alive. And now imagine taking that brain, that savannah brain, that instinct that was built for a world where new information appeared maybe a handful of times a day, and dropping it into a world that fires 1,000 new signals at it every single hour. A buzz, a flash, a red dot, a new message, a new video, a new face, a new threat, a new reward, forever, endlessly, with no off switch. Your ancestors' brain wasn't weak. It was just never built to survive infinite novelty. Nothing was. You're running ancient survival software in an environment engineered to overload it, and it's burning you out from the inside. If this is the first time anyone has ever explained to you why your mind feels the way it does, why you feel scattered, restless, unable to sit still, then do one thing for me right now. Subscribe. Not as a favor, as a flag in the ground. Because we are going to keep going deeper into the parts of your mind that the people in that bright room are praying you never understand. And you don't want to miss what comes next, because the next part explains exactly how they pull the trigger. Let's talk about the single most addictive force in human biology, dopamine. You've probably heard the word. You've probably heard it explained badly. So let me fix that, because almost everything you've been told about dopamine is wrong. Dopamine is not the pleasure chemical. That's the myth. Dopamine is the wanting chemical. It's not what you feel when you get the reward. It's what you feel when you're chasing it. It's the engine of pursuit, the fuel of the hunt. For your ancestors, this was perfect. Dopamine rose as they tracked the prey. It pulled them forward through the chase. It kept them locked on through hours of effort. And when the hunt finally paid off, the wanting quieted, and a deep satisfaction took its place. The system had a beginning, a middle, and an end. Effort, then reward, then rest. Clean, complete, balanced. Now here's where it gets dark. The people in that room studied this system obsessively, and they discovered something that lab researchers had found decades earlier with rats. The brain doesn't release the most dopamine when the reward is guaranteed. It releases the most dopamine when the reward is unpredictable. Random rewards. Sometimes you reach for it and there's nothing. Sometimes you reach and the whole world lights up. That uncertainty, that maybe, is the most powerful behavioral drug ever discovered. And once they found it, they built something around it, something patient. Because here's what's actually sitting in your pocket. It is not a tool. It is a predator, one that never sleeps. It watches you. Every tap, every pause, every video you linger on half a second too long. It's learning. It studies your patterns the way a leopard studies a herd, quietly, for weeks, until it knows you better than you know yourself. It knows what you open when you're bored, what you reach for when you're lonely, and it knows the exact moment you're weakest, late at night, tired, your guard down, your willpower gone, because that's the moment you've always given in before. So that's the moment it strikes. Remember those predators that could hear your heartbeat from across a clearing? This one hears yours through the glass. It's been listening the whole time. You think you're checking your phone. You're not. It's hunting you. And your ancient brain doesn't know the difference. Now let me destroy the biggest lie you tell yourself, the one that's been quietly wrecking you for years. I'm just good at multitasking. No, you're not. Nobody is. Multitasking is a myth, and it might be the most damaging myth of the modern age. Your brain cannot actually do two demanding things at once. What it does instead is switch, rapidly, violently, back and forth, dozens of times a minute. And every single switch carries a cost. Scientists call it context switching. Every time you jump from your work to a notification and back, your brain pays a tax. It takes real time, sometimes many minutes, to rebuild the focus you just shattered. And if you're switching constantly, all day long, you never actually rebuild it at all. You spend your entire day in a permanent state of half attention. Never fully here, never fully there, always partway gone. Your ancestors never lived like this. They couldn't. The hunt didn't allow it. You cannot half-track an animal. You cannot kind of watch for a predator. The prehistoric world demanded total presence, and it punished anything less with death. So presence became the human baseline. Single-pointed, total, immersive attention was simply how a mind was supposed to work. And think about what that constant switching does to your stress, too. Every time a notification yanks you away, your body gets a tiny hit of alert chemistry, a small spike of vigilance, as if something in the environment needs handling right now. A few of those a day is nothing, but hundreds? Thousands? You spend your entire waking life in a low, humming state of mild alarm, your nervous system never fully settling, never getting the all clear. You feel wired and exhausted at the same time, and you can't figure out why. This is why. Your ancient brain thinks it's under constant, endless threat, because every buzz looks like a signal worth surviving. We traded that for a life of constant interruption, and we called it productivity. We called it staying connected. We called it being informed. But here's the cruel twist. The more you switch, the worse you get at not switching. It's a trained skill, a muscle. Every time you give in to the urge to check, you're not just losing that one moment. You're teaching your brain that focus is optional. You're rewiring yourself day after day to become someone who cannot stay. And that rewiring runs deep. And here's how you know it's already happened. Remember that hand at the very start, holding the phone, not even sure how it got there? At the start, you didn't notice it move. Now you do. Right now, you can feel the pull, the urge to reach for the phone sitting just under your skin. And the frightening part isn't that you feel it. It's that you can feel it, name it, watch it coming, and still not be certain you'll win. That's not a habit anymore. That's something with a grip on you. But it can be undone. And the way to undo it is hidden in how your ancestors actually lived. So how did they do it? How did the ancient human brain maintain that flawless focus for hour after hour, day after day, with no apps blocking distractions, no productivity hacks, no dopamine detox retreats? The answer is almost insultingly simple. Their environment did the work for them. This is the secret nobody wants to hear, because it puts the responsibility somewhere uncomfortable. Your ancestors weren't more disciplined than you. They weren't mentally stronger. They simply lived in a world that wasn't engineered to break them. There was no infinite feed, no buzzing pocket, no red dot. The savannah didn't have an algorithm trying to steal their attention for profit. And this matters more than any focus tip you've ever read, because we've been sold a lie. The lie is that focus is about fixing yourself, trying harder, wanting it more, downloading the right app. But the people in that room love that lie. They want you blaming yourself, because as long as you think it's a personal failing, you'll never look at the room. So here's the real secret step, the one that actually works. You don't beat the system with willpower, you beat it with environment. You do what your ancestors did by accident. You remove the triggers before they ever reach your brain. The phone in another room, the notifications dead, the feed unreachable. You can't outlast a predator that never sleeps and never tires. So you don't fight it, you leave the clearing. You put yourself where it can't reach you. Because here's the brutal truth about willpower. It loses. Every time. The people in that room, armed with behavioral science and billions of dollars, versus your tired brain at the end of a long day. That's not a fair fight. It was never meant to be. The only way to win is to leave. And once you understand that, you stop feeling guilty, and you start getting your mind back. But there's one final layer to this, and it's the part that genuinely keeps me up at night. Here's what almost nobody talks about: what losing your focus actually costs you. Because it's not just productivity, it's not just unanswered emails and unfinished projects, it's something far deeper. It's who you are. Think about it. Every meaningful thing a human being has ever built came from sustained attention. Every cave painting, every tool, every story passed down across 1,000 generations around a fire. None of it came from a distracted mind. It came from presence. From a person who could hold one thought long enough to turn it into something real. Your ability to focus is your ability to become anything. To learn a skill, you must focus. To understand a person, you must focus. To build a memory worth keeping, you must focus. Attention is the raw material of a life. It's the thing you convert into everything else: your relationships, your skills, your knowledge, your identity. So when something steals your focus, drip by drip, scroll by scroll, it isn't just stealing your time. It's stealing the very thing you use to build a self. A person who cannot pay attention cannot deeply learn, cannot deeply connect, cannot deeply remember. They drift, present everywhere, alive nowhere. And here's the part that should genuinely scare you. Your memories are made of attention. You only keep what you were truly present for. So think of someone you love. Now try to find one clear memory of their face from this past year. Not a photo, an actual moment. The light on them, what they said, how it felt to be there. For a lot of you, there's a strange blank where that should be. Because you were there, technically, in the room, but you were also half inside a screen. You watched the kid's first steps through a 4-inch rectangle while it happened 3 feet in front of you. You filmed it, you didn't see it. The screen kept the footage, you kept nothing. The moment came, the one you can never get back, and you weren't home for it. It's gone. And there is no version of the future where you get to return and actually be there. That's the real cost. Not your productivity, your presence. Your one and only life, slipping by while you were looking somewhere else. And nobody sends you a bill for it. That's what makes it so dangerous. If something stole an hour of your life and you felt it leave, you'd fight back. But this is quiet, painless. It takes your attention in tiny, invisible pieces, a few seconds here, a glance there, and hands you a pleasant little hit of novelty in return. So you never feel robbed. You feel entertained. Until one day you look up and realize you can't remember the last time you read a book to the end, or sat through a meal without reaching for your phone, or had a single uninterrupted thought. The theft was perfect because you helped commit it. And it gets bigger than you, because this isn't happening to one person. It's happening to everyone, all at once. And when you break the focus of an entire species, the consequences ripple outward in ways nobody planned for. Think about what a society actually runs on. Patience. The ability to sit with a hard problem long enough to solve it. The ability to listen to someone you disagree with for more than a few seconds before reacting. The ability to read something long and complex and hold all of it in your mind at once. These are not luxuries. They are the load-bearing walls of a functioning civilization. Now picture all of that eroding at the same time. An entire population trained to react instead of think, to skim instead of read, to feel a flash of emotion and move on before any real understanding can form. A world where nuance dies because nuance requires attention, and nobody has any left to give. This is the cascade. The same way removing one predator reshapes an entire ecosystem, removing deep focus from human beings reshapes everything we build together. Conversations get shorter and angrier. Ideas get dumber and louder. The complex truth always loses to the simple lie, because the simple lie fits in the few seconds of attention anyone has left. We didn't just lose our individual focus, we're losing our collective ability to think. And a species that can't think clearly cannot solve the problems in front of it. It just reacts, faster and faster, to a world it no longer has the attention to understand. That's the stakes. That's why this matters more than any productivity tip. This is about whether we stay the species that could hold a single thought long enough to change the world. But the damage goes one level deeper still, and this next part is the one almost nobody sees coming. Here's something you've lost and never even mourned. Boredom. Stay with me, because this matters more than it sounds. For your entire prehistoric history, your ancestors spent enormous stretches of time doing absolutely nothing. Waiting for the rain to stop, waiting for the herd to return, sitting by the fire in the long dark with nothing to do and nowhere to be. Empty hours. silent, open, unstructured time. And we treat that emptiness like a problem now. We've declared war on it. The second a blank moment appears, a line, an elevator, a pause between tasks, the hand goes to the pocket. The screen lights up. The emptiness gets filled. We have completely eliminated boredom from human life, and we celebrated it like a victory. It was a catastrophe, because here's what boredom actually is. It's the workshop of the mind. When your brain has nothing to react to, it turns inward. It starts connecting ideas, solving problems in the background, wandering into places it would never go while busy. Every great insight, every creative leap, every moment where a thought suddenly clicked into place, almost all of it happened in a wandering, undirected, slightly bored mind. Boredom isn't the absence of thought. It's the soil thought grows in. Your ancestors had endless soil. You have none. Every empty second of your day now gets immediately paved over with someone else's content. Your mind never gets to wander, because the moment it tries, you hand it a feed. You've outsourced your inner life to an algorithm. And the part of you that used to dream, plan, imagine, and create in those quiet gaps is slowly starving because you never let it get hungry enough to feed itself. And watch your hand the next time you're alone with nothing. Really watch it. The instant a silence opens up, before you've even decided you're bored, it's already moving, already reaching, already lifting the screen to your face. You didn't choose that. The reach happened before the thought did. The predator trained your hand to feed it before your mind could even object. That's how deep it goes now. Your own body answers to it first. The ability to sit alone with your own mind, doing nothing, is one of the most human things there is, and it's vanishing. We didn't just lose focus. We lost the silence that focus is born in. And there's one more trap, the cruelest one, because it doesn't just steal your attention, it poisons it. Your ancestors compared themselves to maybe a few dozen people. Their entire social world, the whole tribe, was small. A handful of faces they saw every day. And against that small group, you could actually measure up. You could be the best hunter, the wisest elder, the strongest pair of hands in camp. Your brain was built for that scale. A small world, a real place in it. Now look at what you do every day. You wake up and you scroll through hundreds of carefully chosen, perfectly edited highlights from thousands of strangers. The richest, the most beautiful, the most successful people on the entire planet, all funneled into your hand at once, every single morning, before you've even gotten out of bed. And your ancient brain doesn't understand that these are strangers. It thinks they're your tribe. It thinks you're failing to measure up to the people right next to you. So you feel behind, always behind. No matter what you achieve, the feed always has someone further ahead. And your Savannah brain treats every one of them as a rival you're losing to. It's a comparison engine that can never be satisfied, running on an instinct built for a world of 40 people, now pointed at a world of 8 billion. And here's how it wrecks your focus. A mind drowning in comparison cannot concentrate. It's too anxious, too restless, too busy measuring itself against ghosts to ever settle into the deep, quiet work that actually builds a life worth living. The very thing that could pull you out, real focused effort on your own path, is the thing the anxiety makes impossible. The trap feeds itself. Your ancestors lived in a small world and felt enough. You live in an infinite one and feel like nothing is ever enough. That's not a personal weakness. That's an instinct, built for a tribe of 40, drowning in a world of billions. But here's the good news, and it's better than you think. Your focus is not gone. It's buried. This is the single most hopeful fact in this entire video, so let it land. You did not lose the hardware. Remember the very beginning? You still have the same brain as that ancient hunter. The same architecture that could lock onto a single point for hours. It's still in there, right now, intact. It hasn't been deleted. It's just been buried under a decade of bad training.